I don't even know if this is going to be its own video or not, depending on how long it takes, but hello! Today we're working on the E46. And by we, I mean Tyler. He's like done already. You guys know the drill. This is my 2003 BMW 330i ZHP. Tyler's been driving it for a while, that's where it's been. All his Fords are broken, so he's driving my BMW because that is exactly how that works. So, one thing that this car has needed... Well, I was in denial that it needed this, but we finally decided... Yeah, we finally decided that it is indeed time for VANOS rebuild. Or VANOS. Or VANOS, whatever your poison. VANOS is the variable cam timing that BMW uses. And it is this huge assembly on the front of the camshafts. So right now we're unhooking the oil line already. The valve cover's off. There it is. You'll remember that this is actually a valve cover off an M56 because it has the CCV and whatnot built in. And there's our VANOS. It's this part. And
yep. So on these, what's really great is you actually don't have to remove the cams, set timing, any of that. The VANOS cartridge just bolts right to the front of it, and yeah, it's literally just a bolt-on affair.
Yep.
So
all self-contained. So there's two ways to go about this. You could buy the rebuild kit for about 80 bucks, rebuild it yourself. It's pretty tricky though, kind of a specialty thing where if you haven't done it before, you're gonna have a bad time the first time you redo it. So what I'm doing is letting the people who've done it a million times do it again. And I bought an already rebuilt unit from Dr. VANOS, and that's pretty much just pull out the old one and drop in the new one, reset adaptations, and then we're good to go. Okay, so why are we doing this?
So what kind of prompted us on this, as I was driving it, I noticed the about 3,000 to 4,000 RPM hesitation that you had mentioned. Initially we just dismissed it as, you know, just what M54s do, because in the ZHP that's just how the tune is. It got progressively worse, and I started noticing a bit of a rough idle and what sounded like a little bit of a rattle at idle, and you know, every once in a while you'd get these weird just idle fluctuations, and that hesitation got even worse. And after resetting VANOS adaptations the first time, noticed that the problem went away, and then it started progressively coming back, you know, manifesting as idle issues. So told Jake about it, and he just ordered the cartridge instead of trying to reseal this or rebuild it. It's got 274,000 on it, I think now.
A few, yeah.
Yeah,
it's pretty.
It's got some miles on it.
Yeah, it's pretty acceptable that it's gone out.
So
and don't forget the oil pressure.
Yeah, and every once in a while I was getting, as like decelerating coming to a stop, it would dip down to about 400 or 500 RPMs, and you'd get an oil pressure light briefly. And what that tells me is, with all those other symptoms, the internal seals inside of here tend to leak, and that's very likely what it's doing, and it's just bypassing oil because the system relies on oil pressure.
And the oil pressure sensor's up here.
Yeah.
So it was basically just dipping pressure right next to the sensor.
Yep.
So, yeah.
So we'll
away we go.
Yeah.
So what does this consist of? There's just a few bolts here on the front.
Yeah, it's literally just a bolt-on cartridge. So we've got 3 plugs here. You get the valve cover off, and then you've just got bolts around the front of it. Shouldn't have to do anything else except for unbolt it. You've got two plugs here. These are normal thread. Behind it are 2 plastic plugs with an O-ring on it. Usually the rebuild kits come with them. Our cartridge didn't, so we'll have to be extra careful pulling those out. And then behind it are 2 Allen key screws that are reverse thread. I've seen a ton of people break them thinking that they were regular, but they're reverse threaded. So take those out, and then the whole cartridge assembly just comes right off. We might have to remove the radiator fan. I'm not 100% sure yet. Yeah, since this is a manual car, the last VANOS rebuild that I did was on a automatic, which had the clutch fan on the front of it, so I didn't, you know, I took that off and had plenty of room.
Tyler.
What?
Tyler, show me what you got. What's in the box?
Oh. We have dead tree and dead dinosaurs there.
Air.
And one freshly reconditioned, rebuilt VANOS cartridge with all new seals, new... oh, hey, those are actually the O-rings for those little plastic caps I was telling you about.
Okay, cool.
So, got those. And,
it's in a Ziploc bag even.
Yeah, and...
so that we can easily see
again,
the old one.
Again, this literally just...
Yeah,
bolts right to the front of the engine.
Here's a visual idea of what part of the engine this is. It's the that part.
The that part.
Yeah, cool.
So, yeah, I've just got...
we just gotta get the that out.
Yeah, just got a handful of nuts. Handful of nuts to take out here. There's some 10s here. You have a 13 that's got a bracket in front of it, which then has an 11 in front of that for some reason. And you've got a 19 here for your VANOS line. And then you've got another 13, which is actually one of the bolts on your thermostat housing that that little bracket goes in front of. Now the rest of them are all 10s, and the whole unit just slides out.
Wow.
Well, after you take the plugs and the other deals out. So.
Handful of Nuts is the name of my grunge band that exclusively does covers of Britney Spears songs. Any day now, camera. Okay, there we go.
Something I forgot to mention that I forgot about until I pulled this plug out. You're going to want a drip tray, towels, something to catch the oil that's captive inside of these. It's a little bit. But... yeah. But it's going to drip down the front of your motor and on your belts, and, you know, that's that good stuff.
Perfect.
Yeah. Oh, that one's... oh, yeah.
Mrs. Drip Tray entirely.
Don't judge me. Gotta keep all your...
parts tray is filling up rapidly.
Gotta keep all your nuts together. And, yeah, there's those
just
little...
don't let them twist.
There's those little plastic plugs I was talking about. I don't know if you can see those in there. So you just grab those with a pair of needle nose and pray they don't break.
That really needles my nose.
Sir.
Oh, he going for it.
Ah, there we go.
Yay.
There's your little plastic plug.
I'm so upset right now.
Why?
The neighbor is listening to the radio and a Family Mitsubishi ad is playing, and I am about to rage so hard. I hate terrestrial radio so much. Almost as much as I hate Family Mitsubishi.
That's how you get demonetized.
No, it's not a hate crime yet.
Okay.
Do the thing.
Well... oh, it did the thing.
See, all I had to do was give you some encouragement.
Yeah.
Sure looks like there's something on the left side there, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Cam sensor screw. Hindsight, maybe we should have removed the fan. Yeah. Also, I'm a silly goose. These inside of here are...
twerks.
Yeah, they're a T30 Torx.
Wow.
Yeah. Let's let that drain.
Gross. Oh, that's the good stuff there. This thing needs an oil change. Wait, didn't it just get one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Had one a couple thousand miles ago.
Wow, so it's just kind of full of sludgy, nasty oil in there, huh?
Yeah, it's...
I think the stuff that's been trapped in the VANOS unit might be...
yeah. A little crunch. Why is it red? That's what I'd like to know. Why does it look like old ATF? So, yeah. Yeah, I gotta figure out how to get the cam sensor plug off of here. It's not cooperating, so I figured I'd just pull the whole unit off and then deal with that above the engine rather than dealing with it inside of there. So yeah, I'll just lay her right there. Ah, there we go.
Yeah.
Got it. Cam sensor off, transfer it to the new one, clean everything up, and put it all back together. Yeah.
I still don't understand how it actually engages with the cams. These all look like smooth surfaces.
Oh!
Oh!
In out.
Right, it's helical. Carbon choke me, daddy.
I'm gonna ask you not to do that again.
Well, that's extremely satisfying.
Yeah. It's pretty easy task on these. Especially since you don't have to remove cams, timing chain, any of that.
Or even the clutch fan.
Yeah. And torque it to...
Yes.
foot-pounds.
Torque it to foot-pounds?
Yeah. Something. Just use your best judgment.
I always use my worst judgment.
It's a metal gasket, so it'll crush quite a bit. Plus, these are all going on to studs, so...
Metal gasket. Should you put some sealant on there first? Just a dab?
My $70 Chinese rebuild kit came with brand new plugs with O-rings. So, who's really superior here? Our trip to LKQ earlier might have been the solution to two of my Fords that are broken not being broken. So, yeah.
About damn time.
And, yeah. Installation, inverse, removal, yada yada.
Etc. Boy, that Haynes guy sure was a genius. This took 20 minutes. How long would rebuilding this take?
On the M54, a lot longer. which is why I was okay with that. So, actually there's three ways you can go about this. You can buy the rebuilt cartridge, which, I mean, for $300, man, that's a deal. That saves you all of this effort. Love it.
There, I contributed.
Alternatively, you can just opt to reseal the cartridge, which is just replacing these little metal gaskets and O-rings and things like that, and you don't actually open up the actuators. Or you can do what I did on my cheap E46 and rebuild it and replace all of the bearings, everything. But the thing with the M54s, specifically these, is they're incredibly sensitive to how thick those shims are, and if they're off even by just a little bit, it'll cause it to rattle, and it'll be just as bad as it was. M52s, earlier ones, they don't care. You throw them in as long as they're close, it'll be fine. So getting the rebuilt unit, especially for like the ZHPs, yeah, much better option. Cartridge is installed, new VANOS lines on, or the, well, new old VANOS line, new crush washers on it, and then new O-rings on the plugs, and then new gasket for the whole shebang. Cam sensor got swapped over, both the VANOS solenoids are plugged in, plugged back in the coolant temp sensor, and we'll put everything back together. When you put the valve covers on these on, Jake, looking at you, when you put the valve covers on, make sure you put a dab of sealant at both of these seams and at all of these right angles in the front and the rear, or else it will leak, as is evidenced by all of the oil all over the front of this engine.
I take no
That wasn't
responsibility
from me.
for my own actions.
Then, yeah, I think at some point this summer we'll do an AC compressor, because you said that one's original.
Yeah, that's probably a 270,000 mile AC compressor. It's probably, that's one of those things that I want to replace before it becomes a problem.
Yeah, because all the crap that ends up inside your system really, really complicates the repair.
Yeah, bit.
Got our sealant all on, cleaned our mating surfaces, and boom.
Wow.
All right, we're all done.
Look at that shiny VANOS unit and shiny valve cover. Yeah, shiny. Yeah. Looks like an adaptation reset is in our future.
Well, also a couple of the coils weren't popped down all the way, and it might just be a leftover code. But we'll see how she drives. Well, no hesitation, so something's working right.
Pulls smoothly where it didn't before.
Seems really rev happy.
Hell yeah. It needs a performance tune now.
Yeah.
Now that we know that mechanically the engine is
as good as it's
okay-ish
gonna be for 270-some thousand miles.
Yeah.
267, sorry. That rev hang's weird though.
That's because it doesn't go into diesel fuel cutoff.
Oh. I see.
I tuned it that way to minimize the effects of the bad diff bushing, and then my tuning software broke its license, and I have to pay to fix it. And I'm upset about that, so I haven't.
Oh.
I'm gonna just end up paying for like an actual performance tune for this and get all that stuff fixed at once.
Like, the variable timing's actually working.
Variably timing?
Yeah.
It feels pretty good from the passenger seat.
Yeah.
For a 20-year-old car.
With that many miles.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All the miles.
That's the one thing that gets me. It's like, you know, you can have a car, I'm perfectly confident in driving a vehicle that's got, you know, 200,000 or 300,000 miles on it. But the major difference is how it was taken care of. And this thing, you know, it feels and drives like it's got 150, maybe.
Yeah.
It was maintained for all of that.
Which is funny, because it was not maintained at all until I got it. And then I spent like $10,000 fixing it, so, you know, it do be that way.
Spent $10,000 fixing a car that's now worth $5,000.
Stonks.
That's some Hoovy economics right there.
Hell yeah. I'll be teaching classes at local community colleges.
What are we doing? Wow. Wow, this is... We've got a... Yeah.
The old change 3 lanes because I messed up maneuver. A bad driver never misses his turn.
After we reset the adaptations and it cleared up that hesitation at 3,500, it was smooth, but it felt like it kind of dropped off in the torque, you know.
Yeah.
Dropped off in power and torque right around there because obviously everything was bypassing. Yeah, it actually feels like it's got a little bump in power there.
Yeah, well, let's hit the highway when we go home and we'll see how it does. It is amazingly grippy for being on absolutely trash tires.
Non-professional drivers on an open course. Oh god, the fender vents.
Oh man.
Why?
That was something special there.
Yeah, I don't heel toe and I don't rev match.
My guy. It's a shame that the exhaust is so drony because it sounds so good under load.
It sounds good under a bridge. Yeah, I did the scan the light. It was camshaft position over retarded on bank 1. Basically, the new VANOS unit wasn't full of oil, so on startup, it just sensed that it was not in the correct position or whatever position it was commanding. Therefore, it threw the check engine light. It's running fine. Everything's working well. It just was unhappy with that startup condition. So
it's got a rock solid idle now.
Yeah, which is excellent, because it would sit at about 500 to 600 RPM and then dip down to about 4 intermittently, and sometimes it'd bog down and feel like a misfire almost. And yeah, I think it's doing its learning thing, and just going to take some drive time, and we'll have to report back on it. So, yeah.
Yay.
The trade-off for spending the extra, you know, $200 or so was...
Well, it's not even an extra $200, because that was like $350 with a 150 core charge. So it ends up only being about $200 for the VANOS kit from Dr. VANOS. All said and done. And that is a bargain for what you get.
Yeah, and not having to sit here and hand grind your shims and fit everything multiple times, it saves so much time.
Yeah, I got like 3 steps into like reading about the process. It was like, no, I'm not gonna do that.
And yeah, I guess we'll do some engine mounts in the future, and I still have to do the oil pan gasket and one of the coolant lines, the one that goes to the
oh yeah,
the expansion tank still needs to be done.
Oh, that one. Yeah.
But I guess we'll get motor mounts, and when I do the pan gasket, because I have to drop the subframe anyway, might as well just do the mounts at that point.
And it needs exhaust.
And the exhaust. But that's more of a preference thing than a performance.
No, I think it's pretty objectively miserable.
It is. So yeah, if you have VANOS issues, get the rebuilt unit, a couple hours. If you need to do your valve cover gasket anyway, you know, might as well at that point. And lives to see another day.
All right. Well, thanks for watching.
Do 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 do.